Good evening, everybody. It is Tuesday night at 9 p.m. and therefore it is Tuesday Night Live with Brett and Rick from Chiro Destiny.
Hola.
And sorry for a couple of tardiness, a little technical difficulty, but we're excited to be here as always.
Yep.
And we're actually supremely excited because tonight is a topic that we feel chiropractors need the most. They get the least. They don't understand necessarily. We end up saving a lot of chiropractors' lives because we have to do a little catch up, and that's about finances, Brett. And you know, it's professional finance, it's personal finance. We probably, when looking at our outline for tonight, we have about 17 hours of material that we're going to squeeze into 35 minutes. So I will let you get started with the first concept, which is volume versus profit. So if you ask any chiropractor how you're doing, they're going to tell you how many visits a week they see.
Yeah.
And my favorite part about you, which is hilarious, you're like, I don't care. I don't care how many you see. How much money did you put into the bank?
That's right.
Right. So
That's right.
give me this little concept of volume versus profit.
Well, my whole concept is always about the bottom line because that's the bottom line. To me, it's all about profitability. And the reason why I say that is years ago when we were, kind of scouring the country and we were speaking everywhere, including us at the time, a lot of chiropractors have this ego thing about, I saw, 10,000 people today. And how many people did you see? And blah, blah, blah. And that's wonderful and great. We want you to have a great practice, help as many, people as you can. But what it comes down to, and what I had to learn many years ago, the hard way, was it's not about how many people you see, that's your ego speaking. It's really about how much money does the practice collect and how much money are you saving, right, to create the future of your dreams. And that's the definition of financial independence or financial freedom, which is you have the ability at some point in your life, you can go wherever you want, whenever you want, with whomever you want. You can come and go as you please. You can take care of your family without all the stress and all that stuff. And that takes planning. And that takes the ability to say, hey, I may not know everything, but I'm going to study money. I'm going to study the laws of money. I'm going to understand how it works. And then I'm going to force savings so I can take care of my family and do all these wonderful things. Other than that, it doesn't matter. Other than that, it's just your ego. So when I speak to chiropractors, that's the first thing that typically comes up is, how many people you're seeing? Well, I'm seeing, and I say, well, how much money are you saving? And that's where the issue starts to come in. And that's tonight.
And it's hard. Listen, you and I mean, look, you're a self-made guy. I mean, you found chiropractic somehow as an athlete.
Yep.
I was born into it. I've been adjusted since I'm born. I was just telling a patient the story the other day how I don't remember a lot from when my parents were married back, when I was 4, 5, 6 years old.
Yep.
But on Sunday nights, we would watch The $6 Million Man.
Yep.
The greatest. Brush our teeth, get adjusted, go to bed. That was Sunday night. So so volume was always important.
100%.
Right?
And it's
over the maturity as we got older, and you realize when you're 20 something, you ask your buddy, how many did you see? Yep. When you're 50 something, you ask, what'd you clear this month? Right, right. But I want to share with doctors, I don't know that many people know what the mission statement of Chiro Destiny is.
Mm-hmm.
We have a purpose statement, but we have a mission statement. And that mission statement says we coach chiropractors to develop the beliefs and actions necessary to achieve the lives and practices of their dreams. And in order to have the life of your dreams, you've got to have some money in the bank. You've got to have it saved. It's got to be systematized. And that's a lot about what we do for people, whether they have sort of made a go of it because they sort of survived and they got enough new ones in the door and surprisingly had some money left at the end of the month. But let's see if we can help over the next 20, 30 minutes, give you some concepts that you can go back and really start to dissect what's going on. So profitability is the end game.
Absolutely. So the first thing is everybody has to know their numbers. They need to know a couple of sets of numbers. Number one is how much money on average per month does it cost to run your practice? So that's your business overhead. Then how much money does it cost to run your personal life on a monthly basis, right? And then we want to know do you have debt? We want to know how much debt you have. And we want to create a system really to help you get rid of the debt, save money, but at the same time, meet your monthly nut, both personally and professionally. And by the way, you don't have to be a chiropractor to get anything out of this. Then it doesn't matter what your vocation is. You can apply the same principles. And there's many.
And by the way, Kimberly just posted a link about financial freedom onto the chat. So make sure you click and download that concept, because financial freedom is the game.
100%.
Right? This is about not only what do I want, and we're all about setting goals, as you know. We're all about headspace, as you know. We're all about it. So you're going to set goals, but where's your financial freedom? Freedom means do whatever you want, whenever you want, just because you want, however you want, and no one can control you. Least of all, telling your kids we can't go on that vacation. Holidays are coming up. How many years did you have where sometimes the tree was a little sparse underneath, or, Hanukkah was a little sparse underneath, or we couldn't go on that trip, or, New Year's, you weren't not so much champagne. You weren't drinking the Dom Perignon. You were drinking the $3 $2 Chuck over there. That's all about financial freedom. So you can do whatever you want. And again, when you say know your numbers, one of the things that is a concept that we talk about with the docs that they typically, it's the first time they've ever heard it, is when we talk about calculating your dollars of what it costs you per visit to see a patient. So you said calculate your overhead, which is ask your CPA, ask your accountant, your bookkeeper, and take the last 6 months and every dime that went out of the practice, every salaries, rent, insurances.
And by the way, most people have this because they do a profit and loss or a monthly P&L.
We hope.
And if you're not, you should have a monthly P&L. And
but just grab your overhead over the last 6 months of every dime that went out, divide by 6, give yourself an average monthly overhead. Exactly. 20,000, 80,000, whatever it is, including payroll. The doctors take your own salary out of it. We know you throw your perks in, but don't fudge it too much. But on the other side, if you take your total collections per month, Brett, and this is one of my favorite statistics. If you take your dollars per month that you collect and you divide it by the number of visits you saw in that month. So let's go an easy number. You collected $50,000 in the month and you saw 1,000 visits for the month. Your average dollars per visit collected, your OVA is $50.
Right.
Now take the same number. What was the total overhead per month that we asked you to get? And divide that by the same number. How many visits you saw? Right. So let's say you collected 50,000. It costs you 45,000.
Right.
Divided by the same number of visits. It's costing you $45 per visit to see a patient.
And by the way, and then someone says to me, hey, should I get on this insurance company's panel? And I'll say, well, how much do they reimburse you per visit? And they'll say, $34, but it costs you $45 to run your practice per visit, per patient per visit. You're losing money. And I'll make it up in volume, which they don't.
Paying them to come. Exactly. And then you say, but I'll make it up in volume because they're going to. So you're just multiplying how many more patients you're paying for.
That's right.
It doesn't make sense. You got to know your numbers.
Right. And most people don't. So number one is you got to get even with taxes, which a lot of chiropractors seem to struggle with because they don't plan in advance. So you have to be planning constantly. So I would get even with taxes. You have to start an emergency fund if you don't have one. We used to recommend 6 to 9 months. With this whole pandemic thing, I say now a year. Have a year of expenses for your personal side, and you can get away with probably 6 months or so with your business. But if you really want to be great and sleep at night, have a year on both. You don't have to worry about it, right?
And again, that means leaving it in cash, leaving it in your checking account.
Some kind of money market account.
Put a money market or something, but you can pull it.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you have to sell investment. This means you have liquid.
Right.
That you can handle anything that comes your way. It's the only way to sleep at night. And listen, I learned it. And again, I know everyone's sort of locked in watching the news on the PPP, on the forgiveness. Is it taxable? Is it not? The new PPP, is it coming out in January? Is it not? Some of that, there was a lot of open eyes when all of a sudden you started furloughing people because you couldn't make payroll. And, It was a great lesson learned for a lot of docs.
Yeah. So, listen, if you don't have anything set up right now, we'll get to that in just a minute. We're just kind of giving you the overview first, what we look for. One, that you have some kind of emergency account. If you don't, at least start one. Like we said, get even with your taxes first. And then we talk about, so I like saving and eliminating debt at the same time.
Yeah.
I think that's a biggie because you have time on your side. So we talk about it. Most people have heard about this debt snowball. I know Dave Ramsey and a bunch of other guys talk about this, and we love it. That just simply means list all your debt, regardless of interest rate, from the most amount to the least amount. And then what you do is you stay current on each one, and then you pay the smallest amount first, right? You get that paid off, and then you add that payment to the next payment, get that paid off while you're still making the other payments, and then take the combination of those two, add it to the third one, and then you snowball it up, and you'll see how fast you get rid of it at the same time that you're saving. So again, this is all.
We're talking specifically about bad debt. We're talking credit card debt. We're talking about the bad
debt. All debt.
And that's why it's your mortgage and it's your cars.
Everything.
Student loan.
I would put, usually your mortgage is going to be the highest, so it can be last anyway.
Right, student loan.
And there is good debt versus bad debt, but I'm talking about all debt. Because financial freedom to me is having no debt.
No debt.
Enough money in the bank. So again, we'll get to that in a minute too. But so most people think of, I'll just save X amount, or they pick some random number. I need to save, $10 million, let's just say. And I'm like, you may not need that much, because really what we want is the more accurate way is, how much money do you need to be producing per year, per month in retirement to live the lifestyle that you want to live? And a lot of times it's not as much as people think, assuming you're even with taxes, you have an emergency account, and all your debt is paid off, right? And then you can live really a good quality of life. Ironically.
I love the fact Seth Lavitt just said,
yeah.
Hey, great to see you guys, but I'm going to do my Zoom new patient orientation class. I'll watch later. Thanks for the feeds.
Love it.
Seth, you're a freaking rock star.
That's why he does well.
So right? I'm just going to give a little shout out.
Yep.
Zoom new patient orientation, people.
Yep.
You guys used to hate doing it because you didn't want to stay in the office on a Tuesday night.
Yep.
Use technology. People are used to going on Zoom. You can chunk your new patient orientation down in so many ways now. Seth, it's awesome, man. We're proud of you, buddy.
Yeah, he's awesome. So there's another concept, again, just want to get some concepts out first, and we can go down and break it out. The concept of, and I love this concept, I follow this one myself, and that's the 50-30-20 concept, which basically means that your fixed expenses, your mortgage or rent or whatever, everything that's fixed, you should be living on 50% or less of whatever your take home net income is.
Net income,
50% or less. 30% is discretionary income. Discretionary income is basically when you go out to dinner, if you belong to a club of some sort, or any fun stuff, vacations, it's discretionary, right? So 50% or less is discretionary, is fixed, 30% or less is discretionary. And then the big one is 20% or more is what you should be saving or applying towards saving. Now, when I say saving, that includes some different things. That includes putting money towards your emergency fund. That includes money for long-term retirement. That includes if maybe you're saving for a house. Maybe you have kids in college, 529 plans, whatever else that you might be saving for, right? And then as these things get funded, then you start to funnel the rest of it into long-term savings ultimately. But your goal is to be saving 20% or more. That's your goal. Now, you may not start off that way, right? And I didn't either. I remember when we were with Larry early on, Larry Markson basically said 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%. And that was the old way of thinking. But because of inflation and crazy things now the number is actually 20%. So the faster you get to that number, the better off you will be. And I started that years ago as I started to read about money. Listen, you grew up different than I did. My parents went bankrupt when I was a junior in high school. I've told the story many times, right? So when I first joined with Larry 100 years ago, basically from day one, it was 10%, 10%. I never even heard that. Saving wasn't a thing in my family, clearly, right? So I had to.
And by the way, in the beginning, and this is probably like causing some people to have a little sphincter pucker. Yeah. They're like 20%. Yeah. I need every dime that I make to just make ends meet.
Right. To start.
And here's what we want to tell you The book that probably gets most people to shift their thinking is Profit First.
Yeah, I think I have it.
Right. There's a book called Profit First. Here it is. Yeah. Right. It's Michalowicz. It's the ability to systematize, the ability to save. And most of you think, what are you talking about? 20% between my alimony payments, my kids go to summer camp, this one's playing the cello, this one needs braces, I have a car with bald tires. You're out of your freaking mind. The Profit First will get you to break down the debt reduction part, the taxes part, and even if you start with 1%, how to do it, how to set up the accounts, and if you're disciplined enough to take the emotions out of it and turn this into a business decision, that is how you get started. And before you know it, you're literally saving 15, 20% of your gross income. Some of our doctors do.
Hey, you know, it's interesting.
You're socking away money. It's the greatest freedom in the world.
When I first started out as an associate many, many years ago and having no money to start, but I said to myself that the moment I got into practice, whether I was an associate or my own, I was going to start saving. And this is no joke. I literally started, I was making no money at the time, but I was literally saving about $5 a week. When I started to read and learn about money, it was more important about developing the habit of saving than how much you were actually saving. So the goal is to build up to 20% if you're not there. I started $5 a week, literally. Just got into the habit of saving, just taking $5 and putting it into the bank. I knew nothing about investing. I was 5 years old, no money background. My parents were terrible with money, so forth and so on. And I started to learn. I started to read. I started to surround myself with other people. And then it became hundreds every week, then thousands every week. And I hired a financial coach, years ago, and he made me every single week, literally write out all my numbers and then send him all my numbers. We would go over the numbers and we'd start to force the savings. So I just want to parlay this into one point. There is a great law, and everyone who knows me has heard this law before, and it's called Parkinsons Law. So Parkinsons Law basically says, here's what people do. It's this time ratio, this time work ratio, okay? Which says that if you got a homework assignment that was due at the end of the week, when do you think most people sit down and do the homework?
Night before.
The night before, right? That's what people do. If I gave you 30 days to do the assignment, when do you think most people do it?
29.
Exactly right. This is what happens. It's the same principle with money. In other words, we pay everybody off first. We pay all of our bills, and we say, hey, whatever's left over, I'll save money. But the problem is, typically, there's nothing left over. So we've heard the concept, you have to pay yourself first. You have to beat Parkinson's Law. You can't wait because there's nothing ever going to be left over.
Paying yourself first doesn't mean taking your salary.
Right.
Paying your car payment through the business, all that stuff.
Right.
Paying yourself first is to set a goal of, I'm going to take 1% out of the gross collections of the practice and put it into savings that goes away, and learn to live on the 99. Yes. And then the 98 and the 97. And
what happens is, interestingly enough, as you start to do this and you discipline yourself to do this, right, you start to learn how to live on less.
That's right.
And it's a strange phenomenon.
You don't feel it.
All of a sudden, when you start working this, your practice starts to grow, more money starts to come in, right? And you continue to pay yourself first and save yourself first, right? Saving first, right? That's the first concept. And then the key after that is take away the discipline, take away the emotions, and then you get smart enough, you automate everything. And then you force the savings. And as you do, you get rewarded by the universe. It's a concept. I never thought it would work. I did it with my coach years ago, my financial coach. And let me tell you something, it absolutely works. When we set it up, he took me through the process. We learned about whole financial concepts. And let me tell you something, that's how you become financially independent. If you don't do this and you're going to keep doing what you're doing, you're always behind the 8 ball. There's never enough money. You're not going to save enough, and you're never going to get there. And that's what we see with most chiropractors, unfortunately.
Right. And I want to take an aside because I think there's a difference between coaching and consulting.
Yep.
And what you see in chiropractic, and we are friends with every different coach, every different consultant, every different guru. We've known these guys for years. They've known us for years. We have an amazing relationship. The difference of what you and I are talking about is new patients are great, but not if you have debt and you don't know how to save.
Right.
Day one, day two is great, not if you don't know what to do with your personal life, your professional finances. No one else is teaching it. Right. They're just assuming you know what you're doing. So we'll help you fill your bucket. We'll teach you how to do social media. We'll teach you how to do whatever, but it's not translating.
Right.
So what happens is people come to us when they've tried everything else, and then late in the game in their 40s and 50s, they now come to us and say, I have no savings. I have all this debt. What do I do?
Right.
So we're imploring you, begging you. Brett and I are not the pushiest guys in the world. So we don't talk a lot about ourselves. We don't talk about a lot of our own practices and our own accomplishments. But don't fall into the trap of living this life where, hey, look at my volume. I'm seeing this and I'm seeing that, thinking you're successful. And then at the end, you don't have money in the bank, because we've seen it too many times,
right,
and it's totally unnecessary.
Right.
This is the system that's easily learnable. We can turn around decades of mistake and turn it around in a matter of weeks or months and put people back on the track where the practice growth side becomes easier, because you're really starting to understand what your purpose is, your mission is, your vision is. And these laws, these financial laws, you can't go around them and still be successful and have something to show at the end.
Yeah.
And to us, you've heard us say it in probably every single video we've ever recorded, is there's nothing we wouldn't do to help a chiropractor, because the worst thing in the world is watching a suffering chiropractor. It's the worst, and it's totally unnecessary.
Absolutely. So let us help you. I mean, we'll help you grow your practice, but more importantly, we want to help you set up a foundation in place that you can build upon. And part of being financially independent is also about protection, making sure you have the right insurance to protect you in every situation. We have people that we, will farm out to. We have resources to help you, but we help you create the system. That's the key. And the headspace for it as well, learning about the laws of money. What
about wills and trusts? We've had chiropractors in their 70s with no will.
Yeah.
I mean, it's instant, some of the stuff. Listen, we're doctors, we're chiropractors. Yep. We loved science and helping people.
Yep.
We wanted to be clinical. We wanted to be there just doing our thing room to room. And yet, we'll tell you this, and it's a hard reality, is 85% of what you guys do is run a business. 15% of what you do is adjust spines.
That's right.
The clinical aspect is 15% of what you do, and nobody's teaching you the 85%. Right. If you're not lucky enough to have a family member who's in business or is an accountant, you're not learning it in school. You're not learning it from most consulting. You're going to either make mistakes needlessly. It's going to cost you time and money, or you're going to get hooked up with the right coaching, financial, practice building, life coaching, personal belief system, all of it. And it translates into having a ball, right? Brett and I still, we joke all the time. Here we are. You see us in our work shirts. I mean, we wouldn't dress up just for you people, right? We just got spies, baby. So some of the other concepts in terms of finance. Some of you are very big now into having associate doctors, and you're paying astronomical salaries and bonuses. There's a formula that needs to be followed. You can't go willy-nilly and give away the farm.
Right.
Associates are amazing. We love them. And they give you freedom. They give you time freedom. And they deserve to make an appreciable living. So we hate when we see chiropractors taking advantage of young docs. But there's a formula that fits of what to pay salaries, what to pay per position, what to pay in bonuses. I mean, it's all a part of it.
Listen, everybody that comes to us, we look at you as an individual. We look at your total situation. Where are you in life? Where are you in practice? What are your goals? What are your dreams? And our goal is to help reverse engineer that whole situation to help you reach your numbers. But I want to be clear about all of this. It's not a magic number that you just pick out of thin air, right? If you reverse engineer it and you're clear about how much money you really need to be profiting or making on a regular basis to come up with a monthly number that you can more than comfortably live off of. And then anything beyond that, good for you, but it takes the stress off. And if you learn how to do this right, and you really get into it and you create this foundation in place, you're going to be so much happier. How do we know? I've been through it. I started off, as I said, I didn't have a good beginning. I had so many loans and debt. It was a disaster when I first started. I was 27 years old when I got into practice, and I just learned, and I talked to other people. I read many books, right? But you talk to any multimillionaire, right? And they'll tell you the story that they've been through and how they set it all up for lasting wealth success. I'm not talking about a flash in the pan. I'm talking about success that lasts, right? Generational wealth. To me, it's part of the key, right? So whatever it is for you, we want to help you with that. And that's what we do. We help you set up the right system for you, the individual. That's part of our coaching. So as Rick said, we're going to help you build your practice, yes. But first, you have to get clear about your numbers, know where you are, know where you've been, know where you are, and know where you're going with a clear path. And let me tell you something, when you're on that path and it's that clear and you're focused on your vision, mission, and purpose, let me tell you something. This is how we see huge growth for a lot of those types of chiropractors that are willing to put a little bit of time in, right? Do a little bit of study, be coachable. And let me tell you something, these are the people that have the most success in the least amount of time.
Yeah. So, I know, maybe this is a little shorter of a class that we've done by 5-10 minutes or so, but I would say it's probably the most impactful because learning scripts is easy. I can hand you a book, go learn the script, right? And it's valuable, not poo-pooing it at all. There are brilliant, consultants out there that they really dissected it. And we have technique and we have technology and there's all sorts of brilliance out there. But at the end of the day, go back to profit. Go back to look at how profitable you are. Because I know you didn't go to school, pay your student loans in undergrad, go to school, pay your student loans in chiropractic school, come out, get another loan from a family member to start a practice, whatever, and live in that dark cloud of having debt, of not making enough, of not feeling that I could put my head on the pillow at night and what if there's another pandemic? What if they shut me down? We want to help you stop all of that. And it's very doable and have a blast doing it and save lots of lives and, be a member of your community in good standing and donate back to your church or your synagogue and be charitable and be generous. All of that generosity comes from you understanding tithing and understanding the laws of cause and effect and give and take. And, the maturity, Brett, that you and I are sitting here talking about. I remember you and I, we meet in 1997 and we had 6 nickels. We were just sort of getting started and, it was a joke. I think you took me out to lunch in the Chevy Cavalier. I love that thing.
Yeah, a little scratch on the side.
A little scratch, you're not the best night driver. I've never seen like in my life. But the difference between now and then is the maturity to realize that everything is learnable, but the length of time is up to you. We can teach it and break it down shorter, or you could learn over decades like we did. We just want to make it easy for you and do the cliff notes, bring things into actionable procedure, and then it becomes automated and you never have to think again.
Absolutely. So I'm going to just read a couple of quotes for you and a couple of affirmations you can take with you. The first one, this is one of my favorites. Revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash is king.
Nice.
Good one, right? And then the 3 affirmations that I say to myself every single day. First one is I beat Parkinsons Law. I say that several times every morning. I beat Parkinsons Law. I beat Parkinsons Law. Second one is I spend several hours each week, the same day and time, to master my financial life. Again, I spend several hours each week at the same day and time to master my financial life. And the third one is very simply, I'm a debt-free multimillionaire.
Say it again.
I'm a debt-free multimillionaire, baby. Feels so good. But I say these every day. This is my consciousness, right? To put that out there. And then everything I do revolves around that. And you know what? If I can do it, and let me tell you something, wow, from how I started, I hear your sob stories, and I was there too one day. I just was smart enough to say, if this was my biggest weakness and I know I need to grow, let me make it a strength so I don't have to worry about it anymore. And that was one thing. I always maybe not knew everything and whatever else. But if someone told me I had a weakness, I want to know what it was, and I was going to always make it a strength somehow. I was going to meet people. I was going to interview people. I was going to read and study. And that's what I've done all these years later. So if I can do it, so can you. You just got to want to do it. It's got to be high enough on your value system to say, I don't want to be this way anymore. I want this in my life. I want these good things. And anybody can do it in whatever vocation. It doesn't matter. But if you just got to follow the laws, you got to follow the rules. That's how it works.
And lastly, we want to give you a couple books to read, things that probably made the most impact on us. We would say Profit First.
Yep.
Is a great book. We would say The Richest Man in Babylon.
Another great one.
It's a classic. The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity. If some of you have, maybe grew up that you didn't have much, or your parents didn't have the wherewithal of either financial or even the headspace behind it, that's a great understanding of money and wealth. Yep. The money book by Tony Robbins.
Yep.
I thought is brilliant.
Yeah, great book. The Law of Success by Napoleon Hill.
Number one.
Stuff, a classic, right? I'm looking at my bookshelf, got The Millionaire Next Door, The Millionaire Mind.
Automatic Millionaire.
All the Dave Bach
Dave
stuff.
Bach. Let me tell you something. Dave Bach, that got me started off on the mortgage thing and dropping that down. I just refinanced to get, so automate everything. I mean, there's so much. I mean, so you can see book after book after book. A lot of you are spending during COVID. All of you could tell us all about the Queen's Gambit, and you can tell us all about Game of Thrones. That's a lot of hours. That's a lot of seasons worth of dragons and swords. Just take that same time and start reading about money. Before you know it, you're a millionaire and you never thought you'd be there. Yep. So, again, reach out to us. And I want to reiterate, we will do anything to help a chiropractor. I don't care if you're a member of ours or not. Pick up a phone, call Chiro Destiny, email us, Rick or Brett at chirodestiny.com, one of the two of us. We will always help you. Let us get you started. Let us get you on a path, on a road back to debt-free financial freedom. You want to wonder why some people have a blast being a chiropractor and some people bounce from thing to thing and struggle forever? It's the amount of financial freedom you have behind it.
And one last concept to leave you with, and that is this. Most people are working so hard in their practice and their life revolves around their practice. But remember, the purpose of your practice is to create the life of your dreams, not the other way around, right? So everyone, they're working so crazy hard on their practice and not really as profitable and not saving all the things we've talked about. Remember, it's your practice that's supposed to feed your life. So down the road, you can live the life that you want. That's the purpose of your practice. And the purpose behind that, obviously, is to serve as much as possible. And money and freedom and financial freedom is a byproduct of the service that you're providing to your community. That's what it comes down to.
I love it. So again, nothing we wouldn't do to help you. We love you. We're getting toward the holiday season. And at the end of the year, this is where you're starting to reflect back and look back on your year. It's a wacky year, but you look back at your stats, look back at your money, look back at your profit and loss, look back at the PPP stuff that saved you, and look and say, God forbid this ever happens to me again. How do I create an insurance plan against failure? We'll do everything we can to help you. Start now, be action oriented, get uncomfortable, reach out to us, to someone else, get some financial help. And I promise you'll be glad you did.
Yep.
So Brett, next week, Tuesday night.
Yes, we'll be back.
We look forward to seeing you guys.
A new concept and a new way of life to help you to build the life of your dreams. So please tune in and we will go from there. We love and appreciate you. Thanks for always being a part of our Tuesday nights. We are here to help as many chiropractors, as many people as we can. Give us a call, email us. We're here to help you in any capacity we can. Have a wonderful, wonderful night, wonderful week. We'll see you next week.
See you next Tuesday.
Take care. Bye-bye.